Every weekend, the DeGrazia Winery in Brookfield, Connecticut is open for tasting and tours. Hundreds of people visit the small family-run business each day. In late September of 1988, the DeGrazia family found out that not all their visitors were as friendly or as innocent as they seemed.
Through the investigation, I was able to determine that the suspects had left Texas and traveled eastward. They were described as being on a cross-country crime spree. One of the individuals was on parole for murder from the state of Texas.
On Sunday afternoon, the two felons drove up to the small winery. Barbara DeGrazia was in the crowded tasting room.
There were two gentlemen who wanted to see the owners. I felt and thought to myself they were definitely out-of-towners. I said I would bring them to my husband and he could discuss whatever business he needed to with him.
Hi there. Hello. Hi, are you Paul?
I was very excited talking to these two gentlemen. One was very articulate and wanted to discuss the possibility of purchasing our wine to be sold and shipped to California. His friend never really entered into the conversation, but kept on looking around the winery.
Hey, come with me. We're going to back room.
Oh, thank you.
Why don't you step in now? You been up here before?
No, it's the first time.
The next day, I drove down the driveway. A truck pulled in and stopped parallel to me.
In the truck, Barbara recognized the two men from the previous day.
So I just told him, my son is at home and he'd be very happy to help you.
Barbara's 24-year-old son, Mark Langford, was the only one home at the winery that morning.
They discussed purchasing several cases of wine. During the course of his conversation, one of the individuals pulled a gun on him and told him that this was a robbery.
Hands up! Come on, now come around, huh? Slow. All right. Okay, get the door, I got it.
At that point in time, they pulled the gun on Mark and they took him back into the house.
All right. You're alone, right? Yeah. Tape the door.
His hands were bound with duct tape, and they immediately started to ransack the house. They made a point of telling him that they wanted jewelry. When he told them that there wasn't any jewelry, they insisted that there had to be more jewelry and that they would wait for Mark's mother to come home.
Just relax. Get in the chair.
The men ripped out all the telephones, then used the cords to tie Mark securely to a chair. He had no idea what they were planning to do next. On the winery's security system of closed-circuit cameras, Mark could see the armed robber's truck parked out front.
He announced that he was going to go outside and wait for my mother. He said, don't move, don't do anything stupid, and you won't get hurt. I thought about my mother getting kidnapped or worse, or what they would do to her once they got back. And I knew she would be back any minute.
With the rocking chair still tied to his back, Mark managed to get over to the monitor and turn it back on.
I saw that their truck was not in the driveway. I just thought the worst. I remembered the upstairs phone. And I thought to myself, this is my only chance to do something.
He made his way upstairs and dialed 911. Dispatcher Mike Baldasti took the call.
It was about 12:15. Got a call on 911. Person screaming into the phone, "I've just been robbed. I've just been robbed." He went on to state there were two white males, and they drove away in a red pickup truck. Told him, hold on. Went over the radio. Headquarters, all units. At a signal 13, which is an armed robbery. Two suspects heading towards Route 133 in a red pickup truck, possible Texas plates.
Brookfield police officer Bruce Scott was the first to respond.
On my way to the scene, I noticed that vehicle description with the same two occupants headed past me. I turned the vehicle around, proceeded after them, and they started to speed up. I put the overhead lights on, the siren, and they just paid no attention to it. They kept going. We're hitting pretty high speeds. We're doing 80, 90 miles an hour up the road. Thank God people were pulling out of the way because I didn't want to see anybody get hurt. I also knew they were armed, and I was hoping that they wouldn't start shooting.
316 HQ. When Officer Scott came back on the radio and advised me he was not able to stop the vehicle, that they were running from him, I again went over the radio and advised the other units this could be the suspects, at which time Sergeant Senior and Officer Waldmiller headed towards Officer Scott's location.
303 will be en route.
All right, Mark, we still have the vehicle on site. We're attempting to stop the vehicle. Mark was on the line with me, and when I advised him that we had the vehicle in sight and we were pursuing it, he seemed pretty happy. He was kind of rooting for us. To the winery at this time.
I was within 10 to 15 feet of him, traveling maybe 70 to 80 miles an hour. It was hard to stay behind him, but I managed. This went on for quite a while until we came to a construction site.
316 HQ. They had just hit a vehicle going through a construction site on 202 North.
Okay, Bruce, I'll be catching up here in a couple of minutes.
I came in right behind Officer Scott, traveling at 70 miles an hour. When you're driving at a high rate of speed, you do get a little bit of a tunnel vision. You're not too aware of the things happening off the roadway.
HQ, Roger 316. I notified New Milford Police Department just north of us, and that we were in pursuit of this vehicle, this red pickup.
New Milford officer John D. Giovanni joined the chase.
I got a call on my radio that the town of Brookfield Police Department was chasing a red truck into our town.
To coordinate the chase across two townships, all information had to be relayed through dispatcher Boldasti.
316 HQ.
I was constantly advising the dispatcher as to my location at all times so that they could let New Milford know where I was and also let my fellow officers from Brookfield know where I was.
But because they couldn't talk to each other directly, valuable time was lost.
They were just non-stop all the way up the road. They almost run a New Milford detective over who was trying to block the road off. He had to get out of the way because he realized they weren't going to stop.
The chase became extremely dangerous to anybody in the area, as well as the officers and the occupants of the truck. Our Captain McCormick set up another roadblock, and he positioned his police cruiser across the road in such a manner that there was no way they were going to get around it.
Put your hand out the window! Put your hand out the window!
First thing in my mind when they stopped the vehicle was to make sure that they were surrendering and weren't going to start anything else at this point. We didn't want the situation to escalate.
Where's the gun? No gun! Where's the gun?
The call actually was instrumental in apprehending the suspects. The dispatcher did a fantastic job. He got the information and gave it out over the air immediately, and that's what led to the capture of the suspects.
Yeah, John. Oh, that's great. I think Mark should be credited. He acted very bravely in what he did. If he had waited out of fear or anything like that, they would have been long gone.
The two suspects both had prior arrest records. They were convicted of first-degree robbery and sentenced to 7.5 years in prison.
And looking back, I'm thankful that I had a chance to help the police take two career criminals off the street. I was scared for my life. I was scared for my mother's life. But I knew I had to do something to put all the fear aside.
How you guys doing up there, huh?
A year has passed. The DeGrazia family has gone on with their lives and running the family winery. But Barbara DeGrazia can't forget what her son Mark did for her.
Mark worked very, very frantically to call 911. And I know in my heart he didn't want his mother to be hurt. When I think about the bravery Mark showed during this incident, I feel very, very proud of him, and it warms my heart. I love him for that.